team, I hope you're all well. Today we are going to be doing the mid-year freakout tag and I'm really excited. I love doing this every single year. I have obviously written down my answers to the questions so I can do them for you without having to think on my feet. And I'm really happy with how my reading year is going so far. I'm not gonna lie, it's going pretty well and I'm having a great reading year so far, so I'm having a fantastic time and I'm excited to do this tag with you. So the first question is the best book that you have read so far in 2023, and for me it is The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I loved this book so much. It was absolutely fantastic. It gave me all of the feels. I was laughing, I was crying, I was having the best time. It just went in a direction I didn't anticipate at all and I just absolutely loved it. We're following Florence Day, who is a ghostwriter for a very, very famous author, and she goes to have a meeting with their editor, their new editor, Benji, and he has no idea that she's the ghostwriter and mistakes her for the famous author's PA. She has this deadline that she's got to meet, however, she thinks that romance is dead and therefore as a romance author is really struggling to hit this deadline. She asked Benji for an extension and he tells her no, and she's having just an absolute time of it, and then she gets some very, very bad news and she has to go back to the family home. While she's back at the family home, she gets a visit from Benji. However, it isn't Benji alive. It is Benji as a ghost. He has passed away and she is struggling to understand fully what is going on, but she ends up building this relationship with Benji and telling him loads of stuff about herself, like coming out to him about the fact that she's a ghostwriter and all of this stuff, and the fact that she's struggling with writing because she thinks that love is dead. And this entire thing just kind of goes on from there, and it's very, very good. I love the relationship that she has with her family. I love the relationship that she has with Benji, and I love where the story goes, and I just had the best time reading this and I really want to reread it already. It was so good and it is currently my highest rated book. So had a fantastic time with The Dead Romantics and is my favourite book of 2023 so far. We will see if that stays or not for the rest of the year. Next we have the best sequel that you have read so far in 2023. I've read quite a lot of sequels so far this year, and the best one for me so far this year has been Lost in the Moment and Found by Shauna Maguire. Generally this series is a 4-star series for me. I really enjoy the stories. I really enjoy getting one of these every year or so, and I enjoy the process of reading it. However, this one has been my favourite one so far. It got 5 stars from me and I just had a fantastic time. This series is the Wayward Children series. This is book I think 8 in the series, and we basically follow children through the process of going through portals, living in a different world for an extended period of time. It could be a couple of days, it could be a couple of weeks, months, years, and then coming back to the real world and having to adapt to being back in the real world. They either go to Eleanor's school for wayward children, which is basically a school in which she tries to help them either kind of get back to normality or keep hold of them until their door opens again and they can go back to their other world, or they just try and go back to normal life. So in this one we follow Antoinette, Antsy, and her father passes away in front of her in a shop. Some time goes by and her mother starts dating this other man. Now things start getting very, very strange at home. She's not comfortable there anymore and she wants to disappear essentially. She would like to get lost, if you like. She ends up leaving the family home one day and she ends up coming across this shop that she goes into, and without really knowing it she has crossed over into a portal, and it's kind of like the place where lost things go. And she spends a period of time there and then comes back to the real world. And again, it's exactly what I've just described that the stories are essentially are, and it's her trying to figure out what's going on. I feel like this one was quite a bit darker than the previous have been, so do be careful with that going into it if you are deciding to pick up this one up. But for me, I think it's been the best one today. I just really loved where the story took it. I really love how it was dealt with, and I just really enjoyed the story for what it was. They're very, very short, but I feel like it packed a punch, and it did all of the things, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So this is my favourite sequel of the year so far. My favourite reread of the year so far has been Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. My book is downstairs and I'm too lazy to go and get it, so I'm just going to show it here on the screen. I love this series, and I did do a reread of this. I was feeling a little bit slumpy a couple of weeks ago and just felt like I needed a reread, and I've been thinking about picking up Traitor's Blade for a while now. I adore this series. This is the first in the Greatcoats series, and we follow Falkio, Brasti and Kest. They are basically, I don't know if you would call them mercenaries, but they were part of the Greatcoats who have now disbanded. They basically worked for the king, and once the king died, they disbanded and kind of disappeared around the country, and these three have kind of stuck together, and now they are working as bodyguards, if you like, for very, very rich people. And things go a little bit sour. They've all been given kind of a bit of a quest and by the king, and they're kind of holding on to this. Their loyalty to the king is to no end, and it's amazing. I absolutely love it. But they end up on these adventures trying to solve these quests for the king, who is dead. So I just had a fantastic time with this series. I love the storyline, I love the characters, I love the comedy that is in here. It's very humorous but also very serious, and once you get to Night Shadow, the second in the series, it becomes incredibly dark. Do be wary going into it, check trigger warnings, but it's such a fantastic series and I have such a good time when I read it, and it's been my favourite reread of the year. In fact, I think it's the only reread I've actually completed this year. I am partway through a reread of Akatar, but it's the only reread I've completed this year, and I just absolutely loved it. It was fantastic, and I would highly recommend the audiobook. Amazing. Joe Jameson narrates it, and he's my favourite narrator of all time, and the accents he does for everybody, so good. That man loves his job and I adore him for it. Next is genre you've been reading the most / loving, and I have kind of like two different answers for this. So the genre I've been reading the most of this year so far is fantasy. I have been reading a lot of fantasy, whether that be adult, YA, middle grade, graphic novels, mangas, comics, etc. So I do tend to, fantasy does usually end up being my highest read genre for that reason, because obviously I read a lot of manga, graphic novels and comics that are fantasy based. But I think the genre I've been loving the most recently has been thrillers and horrors. I've been having such a good time with my thrillers and horrors this year that I'm really getting into them, and I want to read them more and prioritize them more. Obviously romance is in the middle of both of those, but I will always love romance anyway. But yeah, fantasy is my most read, but thrillers and horrors have been the ones I've been enjoying the most. So next is new releases that you haven't yet got to but you want to. I do have two here, but I've got a load on my shelves in all honesty. But I have got Happy Place by Emily Henry, which is a romance and Emily Henry's latest romance release. This is following two exes, one pact, could this holiday change everything? We are following Harriet and Wynne, who are the perfect couple, but how can you pretend to be in love and get away with it in front of the people who know you best? I think this might have like fake dating but also a second chance romance in it, and I'm really looking forward to picking this one up very soon. The other one is Malignant Seven by Sebastian de Castell. This one is following a wizard, I think he is called Cade, who's currently making his living as a mercenary wonderist. He used to have a far more noble sounding job title until he's discovered the people he worked for weren't quite as noble as he believed. Now he's on the run, and his only friend, a homicidal thunder mage, has invited him to join him on a suicide mission against the 7 deadliest wizards in the continent. It sounds hilarious, it sounds fantastic, and it sounds right up my street, and Joe Jameson narrates the audiobook. So I'm very excited and I cannot wait to pick this one up as well. So really looking forward to these two. There is a whole bunch in all honesty, but they're my top priorities right now. Next, we have the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And I think mine, I do have quite a few that I've got pre-ordered, but I think mine is probably Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. I did read The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead earlier on in the year and absolutely loved it. It was so twisty and so dark, and I had a fantastic time with it, and I couldn't put it down. So I'm really looking forward to Midnight is the Darkest Hour. I am not gonna lie, I don't know a great deal about this book. I know it comes out in November, and that's about it. I don't know anything else, but I'm really looking forward to it, and I can't wait for it to come out. Then we have the biggest disappointment. This is the biggest disappointment for me, not in a sense that the book was a disappointment, but the situation in which I DNF'd this book is the disappointment, and it is Babel by R.F. Kuang. I'm really disappointed I DNF'd this book. The writing style just isn't for me. I felt like this was way more of a textbook and it's trying to teach me something, and I wasn't here for that. I wanted a fantasy fiction book, and I just didn't get that for me personally in this. I know it's well loved and I know it works for a lot of people, but personally it just doesn't work for me, and it's been the biggest disappointment of the year for me, and I think it probably will continue to be so. This is the gorgeous Fairy Loot edition. I also have the Illumicrate edition. I don't know if you can see it just over there. Here. I also have the Illumicrate edition, and I'm absolutely heartbroken about the situation, I'm not gonna lie. I'm absolutely gutted. So I'm really hoping Yellowface will work for me, because the Poppy War trilogy has been fantastic and I loved it. So I am hoping that Yellowface will work for me. I do have my copy just here. Also one of my reads that I want to get to, in the same vein as Happy Place and the Malevolent Seven. Next is the biggest surprise of the year, and for me the biggest surprise of the year is the fact that I actually finished Shadows of Self by Brandon Sanderson and then went on to read The Bands of Mourning straight after. That is the biggest surprise to me this year. I'm not gonna lie. I started this in January 2022 and I finished it in April or May, I can't remember, and I'm really shocked. It took me 14 months to read the book, and then I read this straight after it and I did it over the space of a couple of days. It was a great achievement for me, and I did not see that coming this year. I thought I was done with this series, but it was really holding me back from continuing on with Brandon Sanderson, because I know there's Easter eggs throughout all of the series, so I felt like I couldn't move on to Stormlight Archives without having finished this out. So I've now done it. I know that there is a fourth book in this series called The Lost Metal. I'm still undecided whether to try and get to that before Stormlight or read it after. I've not decided yet, but I'm just happy to have done the main trilogy for now, so I'm really glad, and I'm really surprised I did that. Next we have a new favourite author, whether that be a debut or just a new to me author, and for me it's got to be Gillian McAllister. Honestly, I absolutely loved Wrong Place, Wrong Time. This book was fantastic. We're basically following a woman who witnesses her son kill a man outside her home one night, and she then wakes up the following morning and she is the previous day before. So not the day that her son killed the man, but the day before that. And basically this is a book that follows this woman going back in time an infinite amount of years and trying to get to the root of what caused this. She thinks she's to blame. She's trying to get to the root of what caused this. And the reveals in this book shook me. I predicted some of it. I was texting back and forth with Caitlin because she'd read it the day before, and I predicted some of it, but this was fantastic. I read it in one sitting. I couldn't put it down. Considering it's not a small book, it was outstanding. I had a fantastic time, and I now want to read everything that Gillian McAllister's done. I don't know how much she has done, but I did nip to the charity shop this afternoon actually and managed to find How to Disappear by Gillian McAllister, which I know nothing about. I just saw Gillian McAllister's name and was like, yep, that'll do. So I picked this one up. Lauren's daughter Zara witnessed a terrible crime, but speaking up comes with a price, and when Zara's identity is revealed online, puts target on her back. Sounds right up my street. Let's give it a bash. So, Gillian McAllister, for me, absolutely. Newest favourite character is next, and for me, it's gotta be Violet from Fourth Wing. I freaking love this girl. Honestly, Fourth Wing is a fantasy romance that follows Violet, who is wanting to be a scribe. However, her mother has forced her to join along with hundreds of other candidates to become a dragon rider, and she is not happy about this situation. Violet really struggles with brittle bones and being quite small for her age, and particularly weak, I would say. However, her determination and her mental state is outstanding, second to none. I absolutely love it, and she basically just kind of takes this on the chin. Her best friend Dane tries to offer to get her out and back into the scribe quadrant, but she's having none of it. Her mum has told her that if she does find a way out, she will drag her back in, and she just kind of goes along with it, and it's absolutely fantastic, and I love it. Her determination, her wit, her humour, I just love everything about her. I think she's so funny, and I think she's just an incredible person and an incredible character, and I think she's been written very well by Rebecca Yarros, and I just adore her. I feel like she's the sort of person you would just love to have as your friend. She would be loyal to a T so long as you don't screw her over, and if you did, you would friggin' know about it, and she'd just be such a good friend. You would have constant fun with her. Also danger, but fun, always fun. I just love her. Violet is my new favourite character of the year. I just think she's fantastic. I haven't finished the book yet, but I love her. She's great. Next is a book that made you cry. I did mention earlier that The Dead Romantics did make me cry by Ashley Poston, but I didn't want to repeat my books, so I've also put on Everything Is Okay by Debbie Tung. I cried while reading this. This is a graphic novel. Debbie Tung's graphic novels always get me right in the feels, I'm not gonna lie. Oops, there is my gift note. Yeah, Debbie Tung's graphic novels always get me right in the feels, and basically she writes very real, they're obviously just little animations, but they're very real to everyday people that struggle with anxiety and depression. However, I think the thing that got to me in here was that I could see it on another level with my ADHD, and it just really hit me in the feels. I couldn't believe how real some of these things are that I think that sometimes I should be downplaying, or you know, it just really hit me in the feels, and it had me in tears, and I absolutely loved it. From best-selling author A Quiet Girl in a Noisy World comes a gently humorous and poignant collection of comics about anxiety and depression, because sometimes even the simple things like getting out of bed every day feel like an uphill battle. I felt that in my core, and I loved this book. I was sobbing. It was so good. Next, we have a book that made you happy, and I think for me it's got to be Zodiac Academy The Awakening by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valente. I adored this. I didn't anticipate much from this, I'm not gonna lie. I was picking it up because it was doing the rounds on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, and I wanted to be part of the hype. Wasn't anticipating much, and it wasn't until around about 120 pages in that I actually started tabbing. But I had such a fantastic time with this book. This is one of those books that didn't get 5 stars. It got 4, but I would say it's now one of my favourite books of all time. I have a lot of books that are 4-star reads, but are still one of my favourite books of all time. And sometimes my 5-star reads aren't favourite books of all time, but this is definitely up there. There is crack in the pages. I say this every single time. There's crack in the pages, and I couldn't put it down. It was so good. I have since... Oh, you won't be able to see it. Oh, no, you can. I think you can see the bottom of them. This entire shelf here has Zodiac Academy, and also the one before it as well, Ruthless Boys series on it, because I'm going to read them in a very specific order in which the Ruthless Boys and also Dartmoor Penitentiary comes into it. But I'm having the best time reading this so far. I can't wait to get back to the series. I'm up to book 3 in the series, but I just loved it. It made me very happy. In this series we follow twins Tori and Darcy, and we basically follow them. They're normal human girls, but they end up finding out that that is not the case, and they're actually heirs to the throne of a Fae kingdom. They go to Solaris, the Fae kingdom, and they end up having to join Zodiac Academy. They need to pass the reckoning in order to get their inheritance, but also get the throne. They're not bothered about the throne, they just want their inheritance. But because the girls have been missing for so long, thought to be dead with their parents years and years ago when they were babies, the people of Solaris have actually nominated 4 families and then 4 heirs to kind of run the place. And now there is a battle for the throne between the twins and these 4 heirs, and it's very much a bully romance, but I just couldn't put it down. It's like a car crash, you know? It's like a car crash. It's bad. Like, it's not great, but you can't stop watching. You shouldn't be watching it with, you know, with such interest, but you just can't stop. And don't get me wrong, the writing isn't perfect in here. It's not a masterpiece. There are some little bits, there's a couple cringe areas, but I just couldn't stop. And I loved it. Obsessed. Loved it so much. Next, we do have the most beautiful books that you have bought this year, and I do have the Fairy Loot editions of Crescent City. So House of Earth and Blood and House of Sky and Breath, and they are absolutely stunning and have to easily be my prettiest editions. They do come in these sleeves and they are absolutely stunning. We have these gorgeous edges. The covers look like this, and on the back, and then underneath the dust jacket we do have gorgeous end papers and gold underneath the dust jacket on their naked hardcover. They're absolutely beautiful. They both have ribbon bookmarks as well, and I'm obsessed with them. And I couldn't be happier that I got the Fairy Loot ones over the Illumicrate ones, I'm not gonna lie, because the Illumicrate ones had a very similar, like the same cover as the originals. So I'm really glad I decided to go for the Fairy Loot ones, because these are stunning and I am so obsessed with them. So very, very happy with those. Next we have what books do you need to try and read before the end of the year? I don't think I'm doing too well on my 23 books in 2023, which is a combination of 12 books from 12 friends and then 11 priority reads. I don't think I'm doing well on that at all, so I need to read all of those. And did I have a couple of other videos that were similar to that? I honestly can't remember, but I have so many that I need to read. I reckon a priority should probably be Empire of the Vampire, but I don't think I put it on any of my lists because I didn't want the pressure. But I've still not read that yet by J. Kristoff, and I really probably should do, because again, I have 2 editions of that. I have the Fairy Loot and the Illumicrate editions, so probably that. Then we have favourite video or post you've done so far this year. I think my favourite videos that I've done so far this year have been the Polathon vlog, naturally because it's Jade, but I just had a great time at hers that weekend. And I got so much read and enjoyed so many of my books. I just had such a good time. So I will leave a link to it in the description box down below if you want to check it out, feel free to do so. But the other one is the Daisy and Bee shop vlog. I had a really good time filming that, and at the very end when I edited it I was like, I look so miserable in this video. I look like I've had the worst day at work ever, and I didn't. I love what I do, it's just that it's quite taxing and difficult for me sometimes, and I was filming as well as working and it was a lot to do. So I just loved doing that, and I really want to do another one of those. Let me know in the comments down below if you're interested in seeing another one of those, because I would love to film another one for you. And then lastly, favourite book community members. I've got to give a huge shout out to my Patreons, because they are absolutely fantastic and I love spending time with them, and the support that they have given me is second to none. Also, similarly of that vein, all of you guys that watch my videos, like, comment, subscribe, all of you, I really do appreciate it. Naturally, my bestie gets a shout out here, so Jade from JD Rereads. I absolutely adore her and I love watching her content, and I love making content with her, and also our shop, the business that we have together. I adore every single second of it. I think people that I have been binging recently, people that I will drop everything for when they upload a video, off the top of my head, we've got Jodie from Vanilla Moon. I absolutely love her videos, especially her vlogs. They're so beautiful and I love them. Bambina Katerina, Kat, I adore hers as well. Really enjoy her videos. The obvious ones, Kayla from Books and Lala. I love her videos, always have and always will. Cody from Cody's Book Corner. We've got G from Book Roast, Gav from How to Train Your Gavin, Becca from Becca and the Books, Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction. I love all their videos and always have. But some newbies that I've got to give a shout out as well. I've got Ren and also Kim. I will leave links to both of them in the description box down below. Ren did lots of reading sprints for Final Book Support Group, and I'm so excited to have found their channel, and I think they're absolutely great. And then Kim is one of my patrons, but I just think she's fantastic and I really enjoy her channel. So I'm really looking forward to seeing both of them grow and hopefully enjoying their time with us here on BookTube and in the book community. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the mid-year freakout tag. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Chat to me in the comments down below and I shall see you in the next one. Bye for now.